Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're heading, figuratively speaking, to Nepal. Beautiful country, but we're not just talking mountains today.
No, we're looking at something a bit more complex. The Pokhara International Airport.
Exactly. It kicked off with this really positive vision, didn't it? A major new airport for Pokhara, boosting tourism, a symbol of national pride, all that.
Absolutely. A direct link for international travelers right to the heart of one of Nepal's most scenic areas.
But things took a turn. The cost, well, it ballooned. Started around, what, 12 billion Nepalese rupees?
That was the initial figure, yeah. NPR 12 billion.
And ended up north of NPR 25 billion. More than double.
A massive jump. And understandably, that kind of increase set off alarm bells. Allegations of corruption started flying, investigations got launched.
Right. So that's what we're digging into today. We want to unpack what's going on, look at the key issues, and figure out what it all really means.
It's fascinating, that shift from this symbol of progress to, well, a center of controversy.
So the original idea, connect Pokhara internationally. Big tourist draw. The budget, 12 billion. Then, boom, over 25 billion.
Yeah, and the big question hanging over everything is, why? Was it genuinely unforeseen problems, logistical nightmares, material cost spikes, or something else?
Something like corruption, you mean?
That's certainly what the investigators are looking into. Unfortunately, large infrastructure projects, especially in developing nations, can sometimes be vulnerable.
How so?
Well, you can have issues with opaque contracts, oversight maybe isn't as strong as it could be, fluctuating costs. It's a mix of factors sometimes.
Have there been similar issues in Nepal before?
There have been challenges with other large projects, yeah. It does suggest maybe some systemic weaknesses that need addressing. It's not unique to Pokhara, but the scale here is notable.
So it makes that central question even more pressing. Honest cost overruns or something fishy?
Precisely. A small increase, maybe, but doubling the cost?
Oh.
That needs a serious explanation.
And that explanation is being sought, right? That's where the investigators come in. Nepal's CIAA.
Right. The Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority. They got involved officially on October 29th, 2023.
Okay, so they saw enough smoke to check for fire. What did they actually do?
Their first major step was seizing all the project documents. Everything related to the planning, contracts, payments.
Standard procedure for this kind of investigation?
Pretty standard, yes. You need the paper trail. They're trying to secure all the evidence, all the information, right from the source.
And is there anyone specific they're focusing on?
Reports indicate a key figure is Pradeep Adhikari. He's the Director General of the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal, or CAN.
The head guy, basically.
Effectively, yes. And the core allegations seem to revolve around potential manipulation of contracts.
Manipulation how? Like steering them certain ways, or?
The suggestion is that contracts might have been handled in ways that allowed these massive cost escalations, potentially for personal benefit or maybe political reasons.
Okay, but these are still allegations at this point.
Crucially, yes. The investigations are still ongoing. Nothing proven yet.
But even the investigation itself, focusing on such a high-level official, that must damage public confidence. Right?
Absolutely. It shakes trust in the whole system that's supposed to manage these huge public investments.
And it seems like the problems aren't just financial. On paper, there are reports about the actual airport, the physical building and runway.
That's the other side of this coin, yeah. We're moving from potential financial funny business to actual tangible problems with the infrastructure itself.
What kind of problems?
Media outlets have reported things like cracks appearing in the runway.
Cracks on a brand new runway.
Apparently so. Also, issues with drainage systems and some concerns about unstable electrical wiring.
Wow. That doesn't sound good. Quite a contrast to the, grand opening ceremony.
Exactly. You have these glitzy ribbon cuttings, but then the reality on the ground seems less than perfect.
Is there any talk about connecting those dots? Like, could the alleged financial issues have led to cutting corners on construction?
That's a very logical question to ask, isn't it? If money was allegedly being siphoned off or mismanaged, did it result in substandard work or materials? The investigation will hopefully shed light on that.
Because these aren't just minor cosmetic things. Runway cracks, bad wiring, that affects safety operations.
Definitely. And it impacts the airport's core function. The whole point was to handle regular international flights, bring in tourists, boost the economy.
And is it doing that?
Not really, or at least not to the scale intended. It struggled to operate as that fully fledged international hub it was designed to be.
I heard anecdotes about that, actually. Local businesses were banking on this influx.
Exactly. I spoke to a hotel owner in Pokhara myself not long ago. They were really counting on those international arrivals, and the bookings just haven't materialized as hoped because the airport isn't fully operational for those flights. It's hitting local livelihoods.
So a major setback for tourism in Pokhara and Nepal generally.
A significant setback, yeah. Pokhara is so crucial for Nepal's tourism. All those businesses expecting a boom, now facing uncertainty. The promised economic benefits just aren't showing up yet.
Which must be incredibly frustrating for people.
Massively. And that frustration leads to people demanding answers, demanding accountability.
And has that pressure reached the government? Has Parliament gotten involved?
It has. Public pressure definitely played a role. The Public Accounts Committee, which oversees government spending, formed 2 subcommittees.
Okay, when was this?
That was back on June 28, 2024. Their specific job was to investigate these issues more deeply.
2 subcommittees. Sounds serious. Have they reported back yet?
Well, that's another point of concern. Reportedly, no. 6 months passed as they were formed, and apparently still no public findings.
6 months? That seems long.
It does raise questions, doesn't it? Why the delay?
What are the possible reasons being floated?
There's speculation about potential political interference, maybe attempts to slow things down or, keep certain information under wraps.
So politics getting in the way of finding the truth.
That's one possibility being discussed. Or perhaps less cynically, maybe it's just incredibly complex to untangle everything, especially if information has been deliberately obscured.
Either way, the delay doesn't look good.
No, it fuels suspicion. It makes people wonder if the system designed to provide accountability is actually working transparently. It kind of puts the accountability process itself under scrutiny.
So official channels might be slow or stuck, but what about outside of government? Are citizens getting involved?
Oh, absolutely. Civil society is playing a really active role here. You have groups like Rastria at Avian out there organizing protests, making noise.
What are they demanding specifically?
Their demands are pretty clear. They want a fully independent audit of the whole airport project, start to finish.
Okay, an independent look at the books. What else?
They're also calling for the dismissal of top officials at CAN, the Civil Aviation Authority. That shows a real lack of faith in the current leadership there.
Right, going straight to the top.
And beyond that, there are these broader calls for just basic transparency and justice in how these big public projects are handled. Plus, another interesting demand is about the loan.
The loan from China, right. That funded a big chunk of it.
Yes, a significant portion was financed by a Chinese loan. And now there's a growing call to try and get that converted into a grant.
Why a grant? Worries about the debt burden.
Exactly. Concerns about Nepal taking on too much debt. So it's not just about corruption. It's tying into wider economic concerns, too.
It really shows this isn't just
A very big if. And that if hinges entirely on accountability, holding people responsible for what went wrong.
So the investigations need to be completed properly.
Thoroughly, impartially,
Yeah.
and the findings need to be made public. Without that, it's hard to move forward and realize that potential.
Until that happens, that vision of Pokhara as a buzzing international destination, it's kind of stuck on the tarmac.
That's a good way to put it. The vision is grounded until accountability is established. The building might be there, more or less, but it can't fulfill its purpose while these shadows hang over it.
It really makes you think about these huge infrastructure projects, doesn't it?
It does. The challenges are immense. Ensuring transparency, effective oversight.
Yeah.
It needs to be baked in right from the start, not just an afterthought. What's the biggest takeaway for you from all this?
For me, it's how interconnected it all is. The money issues seemingly leading to physical problems, which then directly scupper the airport's main goal, hurting the economy, crushing public trust. And the slow accountability just makes it all worse. It just hammers home how vital transparency and real oversight are every step of the way.
That's a really key point, and maybe a final thought for you, our listener. What does this whole Pokhara airport saga tell us about the wider challenges of development, about ensuring good governance when building these massive, expensive projects, which are happening more and more all over the world?
Yeah, it's definitely got implications beyond just Nepal, hasn't it? Makes you think about the importance of transparency and accountability everywhere. If we want to build a future we can actually trust.